You're listening to another ambitious entrepreneurnetwork.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to Industry Thought Leader Podcast. Stand out, be heard, influence. Want to influence real change with your message while become known as an authority in your field? Industry Thought Leader Podcast will show you how. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
And welcome to another episode of Industry Thought Leader Podcast, brought to you by Industry Thought Leader Academy. Stand out, be heard, and influence. And I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross, also known as the Podcasting Queen. Now, joining me on today's show is Steve Mills. Steve, well, he is a sales and marketing specialist who has spent his entire career helping businesses to make millions. Now, if you're interested, stick around because he's going to share his expertise. Now, his unique approach to business consulting has significantly increased the bottom line of over 10,000 clients worldwide. Now, Steve's main focus is to help these businesses turn sales, marketing, and advertising into profit by using a system and automation that he calls the results programs. Now, his clients often have difficulties with the following three things: a lack of time to implement sales and marketing, a lack of understanding of digital marketing, as well as thinking that marketing, well, it's a waste of time and money. So if you resonate with any of those things, this show is for you. Now, he says with his time and expert understanding, he can help you develop and implement your sales and marketing plan. This makes you free to concentrate on other areas of your business so that you get the results that you want and, of course, deserve. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. It's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to talking to everybody today.
Yeah, you've got lots of expertise in the area of sales and marketing, which, as we mentioned before we went live, this is an area that many businesses really struggle with. And I think you beautifully said that so many people start a business sometimes with a passion or an interest, a skill, a strength, and then they realize, oh, there is a lot more to business than just bringing my craft and sharing my knowledge. But before we dive into all of that good stuff, share a little bit. I mean, we said that your entire career you've been in the sales and marketing and helping businesses. Was it something you were always interested in, or what kind of led you down the path to what you're doing today?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I literally started my first business when I was about, 7 or 8 years old. And, I was searching for some extra pocket money. And my father told me that these plants that we were planting in the garden, this time next year, they will have spread and covered the whole of the garden. So I figured out that, well, perhaps if I took half of them, sold them to my friends and people passing by, then it wouldn't make any difference because it would quickly double up the amount anyway. And so even at a young age, I was figuring stuff out about sales and marketing. I then went into quite an unusual career. I became an international table tennis player. And being a table tennis player, it's not like being a footballer or cricket or, rugby or, any of those sports where people earn millions of pounds. It's quite tough. So I had to, again, look at my entrepreneurial flair in order just to survive and earn enough money to travel and to live. And that got me into marketing. I joined a marketing agency. Actually a sports promotion agency, and helped them get to number one within 5 years, the biggest over here in the UK. And then I decided, you know what, I really like marketing. I want to do it, and I'm going to do my best to try and help people. And I figured out fairly early in my, I suppose, late 20s, something like that. If I was going to do this and I was going to be good at it, I had to go and find the best in the world. Who are the real top people in the world? And I was going to learn from them and then teach what I've learned. And I've been doing that ever since, over 25 years now. So, that's what I do.
Yeah, amazing. And I love how you've said you go out and seek to learn from those people best in class that were winning in all of those areas. Who better than to teach you than that? When you reflect over the last 25 years, I'd imagine that whilst you may have seen, and obviously the more we get closer to now, technology changes, changes, platforms change.
Yeah.
Would you say that sales and marketing in general has changed, or is it more the tools that we are using when it comes to sales and marketing? What do
I
you?
think, I think the principles of it are still the same. But the tools, boy, have they changed. It's like, it's just a different world, you know. Back then, you know, it was quite simple. You know, you bought a database, you wrote a load of letters, you did a bit of a mail merge thing, and you sent out loads of letters, or you made phone calls, or you stuck adverts in magazines and newspapers. Now, boy, is it tough. It really is. I don't know how business owners do it.
Yellow pages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, how hard is that? You know, it's not that difficult. But now, you know, I mean, I think it's almost a full-time job just trying, you know, as a marketer and someone with a, you know, and a high level of knowledge. Keeping up now is tough. I don't know how business owners do it. I don't. In fact, they don't, because it's impossible keeping up with the latest technology.
Yeah. Why I love that you validated that, and I'd love to ask you in a moment to define when you're talking about sales, what do you mean, and marketing, what do you mean? Because we often combine them in the same sentence, but they require a different skill set or at least an understanding. But what you said, and I just want to repeat this, the principles of sales and marketing, which you're about to define, have stayed the same. The tools and the technologies change. So as business owners, when we can understand and grasp the concept and the principles of each, then we go, okay, well, we need to be doing that in our business. Find tools and systems that work for you. But how would you define sales? How would you define marketing?
My own personal definition of this is marketing is lead generation. Now, I know people say, well, it's all about brand awareness and, you know, getting your name out there and things like that. And yeah, that's great. But for me, I just leave that to the Coca-Colas of the world, the guys with the big budgets, you know, the Nike and those sorts of companies. You know, they can do the brand awareness. I'll focus my time on generating leads. And then where sales comes in, it's simply just the conversion of those leads into sales. You know, that's where sales takes over. So marketing generates the leads, and then sales is the conversion of leads into cash.
And, you know, when we do that well, generating leads, and I know you're going to dive into some of the tools perhaps that we can be leveraging to get our message out there, we inadvertently build reputation, because that's really what a brand is, isn't it? It's a reputation that you're building.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything you do, say, you interact, all of that continues to build that reputation in a positive way. And in some instances, unfortunately, not so positively. And just we've got Dr. Suresh here. So hi, Dr. Suresh. If you have any questions, you've got a master here. Feel free to ask and we'll share those questions. So let's talk then about marketing, because obviously marketing starts first. That's where you're generating leads.
Yeah.
And then sales comes second. It's interesting, we often say sales and marketing, but actually it's marketing and sales.
It is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
What are some things that we need to be aware of? Because as we said, one of the things that you often find with businesses, and I've heard this too, I don't have time to do marketing, don't really have time to do sales. Well, guess what? If you're not marketing, you're not generating leads, people who are interested in your products or services. And if you're not generating interest, you're obviously not having conversations and converting those into clients. Have to do that. So what are some things that we can learn from you today?
Well, I think we were just talking before we started about a guy called Michael Gerber and his book, The E-Myth. And in it, he talks about the problems with small businesses. And one of the things that he says that when I first read it really resonated with me is that business people tend to go into business because they love what they do, or they're good at what they do, or hopefully both of those things. So the landscape gardener decides to start their own landscape gardening business. They've got 20 years experience in that. And they believe mistakenly that because they are really good at landscape gardening, that they can run a business that does that. And it's simply not true. To run a business, you've got to be good operationally at doing the work, and then at selling and marketing the product or service, and also the financial side. And the simple truth about marketing often is that with businesses, it's not that they're doing the wrong marketing. It's that they're doing the right marketing in the wrong way. That is often the case. But what happens with people is they do things like, right, okay, so I'm going to use LinkedIn. I'm going to try LinkedIn because that's great. So they'll try that and put a load of time and effort into it. They'll perhaps even do some advertising on there. Then after a period of time, perhaps a few weeks or a few months, they go, well, do you know what? LinkedIn doesn't work. I'm not going to do that anymore. So they find another idea. I know it's Facebook. Facebook's the way. You know, everybody tells me Facebook's great, so I'm going to do that. And then they spend a few more weeks and months, and then that's not working. So what they do then is they just almost step back from marketing and say, well, we win all our business from word of mouth and repeat business. That's the best form of marketing. And that is, I believe, certainly one of the best forms of marketing, referral marketing, as us marketers like to call it. But also it self-limits so many businesses. Because if you're just relying on word of mouth, on referral, then you're missing out on all the other great ways of winning business. And, it's just a shame that, for people when they've not done that. So for me, I probably my best piece of advice would be go and find something that you really, truly believe in. And when I say find something, I mean, pick a marketing subject, LinkedIn, Facebook, email, search engine optimization, whatever it is, and get really good at that. Put some time in, do some training, go and find somebody who really knows and understands that subject, learn from them, get really, really good at it, to a level where, every pound or dollar you put into it, you're getting 10 back. And once you know that, then just crank it up, go and spend more money on Facebook advertising or whatever it happened to be. And I'd also then say, right, go and find the next thing. So you start to build your business on different streams of income. So you've nailed Facebook. That's really good. So now we're going to look at email marketing. I'm going to get that really good. I'm going to grow my database. I'm going to start communicating with my current customers and my prospects. And I'm going to get that good. Then I'm going to move on to the next thing, and so on and so forth.
Do you find that with businesses, no matter what age they're at, so whether they're starting up or maybe they've been in business for a while, when they're considering different marketing options, do you have advice as to, and I know this is a question that the answer could be, well, how long is a piece of string? And this is why we need to go to the experts, because, different industries, there may be a specific way to market that will get them far quicker in front of their ideal clients. Yet they may mistakenly think, email marketing is the way to go. Yet in actual fact, because everybody's hanging out their ideal clients on Facebook, they should probably tap into that. Are there any insights that can give a business a clearer understanding of, what, Steve, love that you're not telling us to do all of the things, but how do we narrow down on what one thing we should focus on first?
Yeah, it is a difficult question, and I don't think there's any one thing. I do think certain things in certain industries, it depends what industry you're in almost. And I suppose the main piece of advice I would give is what you said a few moments ago. Where are your market? If your market's on Facebook, then it makes sense to do that. If it's on LinkedIn, then perhaps that's where you should focus. So it does depend. But I think what one piece of advice that I'd strongly like to give is that if you're marketing and you write some words, or you produce a video, or you do a podcast, the words around that often are not good enough. They're not as good as they could be, and so they don't create the number of inquiries that they could. Often with marketing, there's like a fixed cost, what be that time, I spend half a day on LinkedIn every day, or it could be a fixed cost that I'm spending $100 or £100 a day on Facebook advertising. That's fixed. Okay, there's a little bit of negotiation. Perhaps I can do, get 10% off or something like that. But it's pretty much fixed. But the results, they're not fixed at all. So you can spend $100 and get no results. You can get no leads whatsoever. Or you can spend $100 and get, 20, 30 leads, convert half of those into sales, and make many, many thousands of dollars. And, that I think is the truth. But the problem with marketing is that, like most things in life, the first time we do it, we don't always get it right. And so what people do, as I suggested, is they behave like butterflies. They go from one thing, finding one way of marketing that doesn't work, and I'll go to another one and that doesn't work either, and then I go to another one and that still doesn't work, and so on and so forth, eventually getting totally frustrated with it all and just relying on referral and never really achieving the true level of success that they could.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that, because I think, honestly, I can resonate with that. And I tend to be someone who does love to chase after the next bright, shiny thing, because I love to use those things. The bright, shiny thing for me 12 years ago, actually probably a bit more, was podcasts. What's this great? And people then told me, just what are you doing, But, it was a medium that I loved. And so we just don't know, with tweaking along, can I change this? Can I change that? Yeah. All of a sudden, it could take off. Steve, we've had a question, and I think this will beautifully answer. Speak into some digital marketing. Dr. Suresh, I think he said he's a TT state player in Kerala, India. What do you think of attraction in digital marketing, and what steps should you do to get leads and sales? You kind of touched a little bit, but perhaps, when we're thinking about digital marketing, because that's what you said, many businesses have a lack of understanding of digital marketing. What insights do you have for Dr.
Okay, great question, and it's good to meet a fellow ping pong player. I'd say often the biggest mistake that they make is trying to sell too early. I see this all the time on digital marketing. I get an advert the other day from Volkswagen trying to sell me a car, and they have no knowledge of who I am, whether I'm interested, at all. I get people connecting to me on LinkedIn, and they ask me to connect. I say yes, and then within 30 seconds they're trying to sell me something, and there's no relationship there. And whilst we were talking right at the beginning about the fundamentals of marketing, and I said yes, it's still the same. What's marketing about? It's about getting people to know, like, and trust you. They're the three keys. If people know, if you know, like, and trust me, what are you going to do if you need marketing advice? Are you going to Google it? Or are you going to go to the person that you know, like, and trust? Or the business you know, like, and trust? Or the products you know, like, and trust? And that, I think, is really important. So for me, my advice would be have a think about how you could build relationships before you go, do you want to buy this? So this is the way I do it. So I use a variety of different mediums with LinkedIn, Facebook, email, and so on and so forth. But I spend a significant amount of that time, probably about 80% of it, trying to help people by providing podcasts like this one, videos, reports. So I might write a report on how to do pay-per-click advertising. I then market that to people saying, I've written this great report. This is what it's about. This is why you should access it. People then go to a landing page, sign up, put their email and telephone number and name in there. They then get my report, and I've got then, I believe, a great opportunity, because I've got a list of people who are interested in paid advertising, pay-per-click advertising. I know that because they've signed up to my report, and I can pick up the phone and call them. You know, how much better is that than doing a blanket email out to 10,000 people, trying to, you know, offer pay-per-click advertising services, and people going, well, why is he doing that? I don't like that. I don't want anything to do with that. He's one of those marketing guys, you know. And so, you know, it's yes, I've got a big list of people, but I really want to segment that down into small lists. So think about what you could offer. If I was a landscape gardener, I could, I don't know much about it, but I could provide a report on what type of soil you need to grow the best roses. So people are thinking, wow, that guy really knows his stuff. Or, you know, what position you should put your tomato bags in, or whatever. And I have no idea what I'm talking about here at this point.
It doesn't matter. You're the expert in sales and marketing. You can help that land with the digital aspects of things. But so Dr. Suresh, I mean, what Steve was saying is, you know, brilliant, and that really speaks beautifully into the terminology that he used, attraction marketing, where really you're sharing valuable knowledge that, you know, Steve, your ideal client is interested in. Perhaps it's a challenge. And in the case of the landscape gardener, I mean, maybe there are certain, you know, seasons and themes and things that you should be doing. Yeah. So you might do a great newsletter, and then someone looks at the steps and goes, you know what, I don't think I'll do that. And I've been getting this newsletter and I love the stuff that he's been posting and the podcasts and the videos. I'm going to hire him and ask him to redo our garden because I really like who he is and I value his expertise. That's the kind of thing you're talking about, isn't it? Over a period of time.
Yeah.
That trust.
Yeah. And I think these days with digital marketing, one of the things we can do much easier than we used to be able to do years ago is to keep in touch. And it's, again, often one of the big mistakes that I find is that people don't keep in touch with people often enough. And so there's no relationship. It's like, you know, I don't know, I meet a young lady, decide to take her out. At the end of the evening, I say, you know, really enjoyed it. I'd love to see you again. And she says, yeah, I'd love to see you. And so I say, right, okay, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you an email in 3 months' time. And it simply doesn't work, you know, and people do that all the time in marketing. You know, they you know, I go to a networking event and I meet somebody, we have a good conversation, we exchange business cards, and then I add them to my quarterly newsletter, you know, and that's never going to work. You know, you got to keep in touch. And people have this almost like a fear of, oh, I don't want to bombard them with stuff. I don't want to do, you know, overdo it. And yeah, you don't, you're right. But 99% of the businesses I speak to underdo it. They don't keep in touch often enough. Because often, you know, one of the keys to marketing is timing, and it's very difficult. You know, if I was a solicitor, or if you were a solicitor, right now I don't need any advice. But tomorrow, you know, when I have a problem, I have a car accident or something, I desperately need you. You know, I need your help. I need your advice. And so, again, that keeping in touch with people is absolutely paramount, I think.
You know, one of the things that you were talking about, the newsletter, and this is something that will often happen in the case of face-to-face, when we used to be able to do face-to-face.
Yeah.
And I also see even on LinkedIn, so much so that I created a separate email address that I just keep in the cloud. And this is what I'm referring to. Similarly, that you said someone signs up for your newsletter or they give you permission that you add them to your newsletter and they don't hear from you. If you've not gotten permission from that person to add their details to your database and you send them a newsletter, I almost liken it to all of a sudden you walk into someone's house, you plonk yourself down on their chairs and go, well, how are you? Here I am. And it's like, well, who are you? All of a sudden, it's like the random newsletters come to my inbox. It's like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so.
Can destroy or tarnish a relationship, isn't it? Right from the get-go.
Totally, yeah. I mean, whether you meet somebody at a networking event where you physically meet them, or now it's a networking event online, and if I meet you and then 6 months later, 3 months later, even a month later, send you a message, you're thinking, who's this guy? I've never heard of him, Or I connect you on LinkedIn. And then a month later, I message you saying, oh, we recently connected on LinkedIn. You're thinking, did we? Who's that? Who's this guy? A really, really good saying, I think, in sales and marketing is speed stuns. Speed stuns. Absolutely. I get people sometimes when they'll make an inquiry, and we try whenever possible. If somebody inquires, they're going to get a response within 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes. We don't always manage to do that because stuff happens. But when I manage to do it, and I go, oh hi, thanks very much for your inquiry, and they go, oh right, yeah, oh thanks for it's like such a shock that they expect to wait 24 hours before anybody gets back to them. And there's a good lesson in sales, by the way. Just speed stuns. It like shocks people.
Yeah.
People connect to me on LinkedIn, and I pick up the phone and go, oh, hi, Steve Mills here. We've just connected on LinkedIn. I thought I'd just give you a call. How are you? How's business? And that's how the conversation starts. I don't go, hi, Steve Mills here. Do you want to buy my widget? Do you want to come on my results program? It's never going to work. Never going to work.
The whole phone concept, I think we've forgotten some of those personal touch. And it was interesting because the other day I took advantage of, I can't think of the name, it's a newsletter that comes out and there's special deals, and I purchased something. Anyway, I get this phone call and it comes up on my phone, an international number from the US. And there was a guy ringing a couple of days later from the app that I bought. And he said, just checking in. Did you install it okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? And I was like, seriously? I mean, what kind of service is that?
I know.
And he rang me every week just to check. Do you need any help with that? That kind of thing just speaks volumes.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm sure you know of Tony Robbins, yeah? Tony, for all the listeners, Tony's like probably the world leading expert in the helping industry, the advice. He does lots of personal development, business development stuff. And I remember it must be about 7 or 8 years ago, I bought this program, the CD program, 20 CDs and a workbook for about, I think for me it was $200, something like that. Now, Tony's business turns over 3 billion, right, with a B. Okay, so I bought this for $200, and I got a phone call from America from this lady called Stephanie. I remember to this day. That's how unusual it was. Saying, just calling to make sure you receive the CDs, and have you had chance to look at them yet, listen to them yet? And have you got any questions? Is there anything we can help with? And I just thought, wow, that is so cool. Massive company like that to bother with a $200 sale and phone from America, to the UK. I just thought that was just, at another level. You don't normally get that, particularly from big companies, actually. I think those small businesses are much better at it.
Yeah, but I think, all big companies at one stage were small companies. And if you start off and you really build those foundations, it doesn't matter how much you get. Continue to do that. That kind of thing, I think, we've just scratched the surface with what you've shared today. When you look at sales and marketing, the relationship does not stop when you've got a sale. In fact,
No.
I think, and I love the way that you've just given that example, and the one I shared similar, is that when a client, you've onboarded that client will most likely continue to do business with you. There is the buyer's remorse that can often happen as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what you do across all of that stage is really still the customer journey. And that customer may tell 10 other customers how wonderful the experience has been, and continue to do business. And that's one of the things that we really as businesses need to consider too, not just at the front end getting new clients, but how can we really nurture those clients to become ambassadors and of business.
I think it's how we can nurture them and how we can also, cross-sell them. Often people pigeonhole businesses. Give you an example. For me, I do quite a lot of training on LinkedIn. So that's a real key. A lot of people are on LinkedIn. A lot of people don't know how to use it. But I get people pigeonholing me sometimes as the LinkedIn guy. And I'm not. I know LinkedIn, but I know marketing, and I can recall people who'd one particular guy had been on my LinkedIn workshop. 3 weeks later, I'm doing as you've just advised, picking up the phone, talking to, oh, hi, Steve here, Steve Mills. You came on my LinkedIn workshop. Oh, Steve, he says, yeah, it's great to hear from you. How are you? Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah. So I said to him, how are things going? He said, oh, it's going really well. Yeah, we've been doing all the things you say on LinkedIn, and we've just got a new website. We've just commissioned a company to do that. And I went, we could have done that for you. Oh, could you? Oh, if I'd have known, I'd have definitely hired you, Steve. I didn't realize you did that as well. Whose fault is that? It's absolutely my fault for not letting my client understand the range of services that I offer. They pigeonholed me as the guy who does this, and actually I can do this, that, and that. And that was a really interesting lesson to learn. And I think it's one that often in business is, we spend a lot of time and effort trying to get more customers. We don't necessarily work on our current customers effectively enough. And we don't try and work at keeping those customers often enough. The customer retention is really key.
Yeah. What you just shared in that example was brilliant, because if you have a look at what I call your program pathway, you may get people into your LinkedIn group because it's a great first step. People know that they need LinkedIn. It really is an area that it's immediate. They can implement and get into work. But from there, there's a smaller portion who goes, well, you know what, because we've got a good brand or, message on LinkedIn now, we want to make sure that message is consistent across our web platforms and so forth. So as you say, if you seed, I call it seeding and leading, to say, by the way, guys, here's just some other range of services. If you want to take this to the next level, we can support you. That is where you're nurturing, and that its client might have started off with X amount of pounds and then upgraded. You guys back at pounds, aren't you, in the UK? You're not on the euro?
On pounds,
yeah. Pounds, and then it's multiple pounds, and that's how it happens, because the customer loves that. You've built that trust, and they're more likely to reinvest, which is
absolutely.
Yeah,
it comes back. It comes back to what I said. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, and that's your job as far as marketing's concerned, I believe.
Yeah. Well, we, as I mentioned, have just scratched the surface, but what you've shared, I think, is going to give people a really valuable understanding of the things that they need to implement and the things that they need to look for and aim for. But if people want to find out more about your vast services, don't just do LinkedIn, but websites and other things as well. The best way for them to get in contact with you?
The best way is probably via our website. We have got a new website just about to launch. It launches on the 2nd of December, and the address is steve-mills.com. So steve-mills.com. that's probably the best way to get hold of me. Or find
Fantastic.
me on LinkedIn. Connect to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Right, LinkedIn, and Steve Mills, you're on LinkedIn as well, and let them know that you listened to him and heard about all of his expertise and what he shared on the show. Well, thanks once again for coming on the show, Steve, and have a fantastic rest of the day. I know UK and Australia has interesting time differences, so you're still starting.
I got to say, I just love your country, and I'm not just saying it. I really do. It's I was there once. It's my aim to go back there. I'm sure I will at one point. But I'd also like to say, big congratulations, Anne-Marie, for doing what you're doing. It's great to have someone like yourself out there helping people with your podcasting and getting positive messages out in a world that's right now feels a bit negative. You only need to turn the news on, and I call the newspapers the bad newspapers, because it's just seems to be full of bad news at the moment. And it's great to have someone like yourself out there spreading and helping people. So well done for doing what you do.
That I'll have some good news for you. I mean, you may not know this, others may not know this, but Melbourne was in a lockdown, very strict lockdown. I mean, we had curfews. We were not allowed out after 8, one person only out. Anyway, we have come months later. The other side, we're now opening up. We've got 0 transmission, 0 cases, 0 deaths.
Fantastic.
And probably for 9 days now.
Right.
We are now allowed to travel. The other states have opened their doors to us. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. And of course,
so with the vaccine on the horizon, it's looking a little bit more positive. We're in the UK. We're just coming out of a total countrywide lockdown. I think that ends on the 2nd of December, and then we've got like level 1, 2, 3 according to different areas, and then we've got a Christmas reprieve where we're allowed to go and see our family and things like that, albeit limited to 3 households together. But I think everybody's quite relieved about that over here. So so everybody stay healthy. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Stay safe, stay healthy, and look forward to connecting again. Thanks once again for coming on the show, Steve.
That's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.